right, I am back with another Destiny 2 video. I am taking a break from talking about Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, which I do not like very much. I will save that for tomorrow. I think I'll have a review out tomorrow, I'm pretty sure, because it's launch day officially. I wanted to talk about something that happened with Destiny this past week that some people are asking me my opinion of. I wrote an article about this, but this is, of course, about Joe Blackburn leaving as Destiny 2 game director. He announced this in a Twitter thread 2 days ago now, and it's a big deal, obviously, when any game director leaves. He talked about a few things. He talked about how they're doing like kind of final run-throughs of final shape testing, and then it gets polished before June or whatever. And he's really, really proud of it. I think he said it's like one of the things he's most proud of working on. He said he will be leaving in a month, so he is leaving before the final shape launches. Interesting timing. I don't really know game director things, but that's a little surprising. You wouldn't stay through to the actual launch. But nevertheless, it says he is embarking on a new adventure outside of Bungie. That implies he already has a new job somewhere else lined up. And then he says that he is passing the torch to Tyson Green, who's a long-term Bungie veteran who will then become Destiny 2 game director. So, a lot of things to go through here. So, I don't really think this is just Joe bailing on a sinking ship or whatever. Like, this is not an uncommon thing to happen in the industry. I mean, he's been doing this for 5 years ish now, and he's not like a super Bungie OG. He's, the game has had some ups and downs, but I don't think anyone's like faulting him specifically with the current downturn we're in now. People leave jobs. People are poached by other jobs that want to pay them more, or you just get bored doing the same thing for 5 years and want to do something else. I don't know how many game directors last for like the entirety of a game. Obviously, Joe took over for Luke Smith, who I'll get to, and I don't know, what he's doing. We don't know yet. I would imagine that maybe someone is trying to poach him for to run their own live service thing. It could be within Sony. It would be a little strange to go from Bungie to another Sony-owned studio live servicey thing, or it could be somewhere completely outside Sony. It might not be live service. It's just you've been the director of one of the biggest live service games in the world for a number of years, so the industry trend is still toward live service, despite the likes of Suicide Squad and other things. So I don't know if this is just, everything is terrible at Bungie, I'm getting out before it blows up. Maybe there's some of that, but I don't know how much we can read into it. In terms of Tyson Green, this seems to be a positive choice. Everyone seems to be like, oh, okay, yeah, it's Tyson Green. Tyson Green has been at Bungie forever. He worked on Halo 2 and Halo 3 multiplayer, specifically Forge mode, and he's been with Destiny endlessly as a designer. We don't really hear much from him because he doesn't have social media, which, working on Destiny, probably good to not have social media, and especially when you're a director. We've heard from him in a couple of TWABs, I think, but I do obviously hope we start hearing from him more in whatever capacity, blogs, videos, whatever. I think one of the great things about Joe was how transparent he was, and even when things happened, like the bad state of play, like he came out and did a different video that was a lot better. In terms of this whole situation, Joe specifically is very, very well liked within Bungie. There's all these complaints about management and management's bad decisions and management doing the layoffs and screwing people over. Joe is not a part of that conversation. Like, even people who were fired in this last round of layoffs were like, I loved working with Joe. Joe's amazing. I have not heard anyone say, anything bad about Joe, either publicly or privately. So it really seems like he was as genuine as he has appeared to be, especially as of late with his videos and stuff like that. So I don't think this is a good thing that you lose your, well-liked, experienced game director at a time when the game is at one of its lowest points and then heading into total uncertainty after the final shape. We know we're getting episodes, but we really have no clue about the long term for Destiny here. And furthermore, it just seems like the wrong people keep leaving Bungie. And that includes, the huge suite of layoffs, including like longtime social media managers. And Evie, what are you doing? And Evie, you made me lose my train of thought. Like public facing community managers, like now we just have the Destiny 2 team, and like this is, and then all, customer support, player support, like it's a lot of stuff that should not really have been on the chopping block. And now all of the people who made those decisions and got Destiny and Bungie into the situation in the first place, they're still there. And we don't know everybody, in leadership, but we do know the most public people. Well, some of them used to be public, not so much now. Everyone was very mad at CEO Pete Parsons during the whole layoff thing. He was very much viewed as a bad guy in this situation. There were a lot of quotes from him about, the different revenue misses, and then the CEOs weren't going to take a pay cut, and executives weren't taking a pay cut to save jobs, etc. Then we have Mark Noseworthy and Luke Smith, which are some of the biggest mysteries in terms of Destiny employment at this point. Like, those two used to be running Destiny 2, and Luke specifically was game director. And then they got promoted to oversee the Destiny 2 universe. Like, Luke Smith's title now is like creative director of the Destiny universe or something like that. And then Joe became game director. And the idea then was like, oh, well, Destiny's going to dramatically expand, and those guys, since they did such a great job, with Destiny, and, things are better now, they're going to build out the Destiny universe, and we're going to get other games and other projects and like multimedia stuff. And they put like a media person on their board and like all this stuff. And what's happened? Nothing. Nothing has happened. Nothing has been announced. Nothing. There's not a Destiny mobile game. There's not a Destiny genre spin-off game. There's not a Destiny animated series. There's not a Destiny live action series. There's nothing. There is literally nothing that has even been announced. It's not like they announced some project and it hasn't come to fruition. There's just nothing. And it's just still Destiny 2, and we never hear from those guys. They used to be like the really public face of Destiny to the point where they accepted the best community support award at the Game Awards a few years ago, and now they're nowhere. Luke Smith chimed in to wish Joe well and say he likes Tyson Green, and then he's like, well, back offline again, see ya. It's like, so I don't know what those guys are doing. And then just sideways, we have Chris Barrett, who's running Marathon, which is obviously a hugely important game for Bungie, but he's just, he's tweeting art and stuff, and we have not really heard anything significant from him about Marathon since, the first trailer, and that's sort of just this big black box, even though it's supposed to be out in 2025, so we'll see. But these are all, leaders that remain, and, at least publicly, some people have been very mad at a couple of those guys kind of before and after the fact here. Whereas Joe, the very, very well-liked game director, is now gone. And it's not great. I have always had concerns about Destiny and Bungie over the course of the past year, specifically because of the big revenue miss and then all of these internal things that it's like, we really got to make Final Shape amazing and it's got to hit well or like we're screwed. Again, I think that's too much weight to put on one thing. They are going to see revenue drop significantly in this delayed 6-month season. They are going to see big player fall off after the Final Shape, no matter how well the Final Shape launches. And because it's just like the end of the saga, so people are just going to peace out. And then we have these episodes, but that's mixing up the seasonal model, except not really. It's 3 seasons instead of 4 seasons, and they're structured a little differently. Maybe we're not in the helm anymore, but like, I will be amazed if those are like crazily different than seasons now. And it just, I never stop feeling like we need a reset. Like we need some time off from Destiny. Bungie needs to circle around, make a new game, like a fully new game, and like go from there. Like learn from their mistakes. I don't know how long they can keep building and building and building on top of the same framework, and now doing it with less people and doing it with a brand new director. Like I don't know. Like if we're getting a new director, I want to hear about a new vision for the game and what is happening going forward. Besides just, hey, we're doing 3 disconnected episodes. Like we need more than that, and they're not going to talk about that probably until after the final shape, because they do not want to take focus off the final shape because that is so important. Tyson Green specifically, the implication that people are taking from this is that since he's such like a Halo multiplayer OG, that this could lead to greater focus on PvP in the game and like a Forge mode. And I don't buy the Forge mode thing, not without a new game. Like Destiny is not remotely built for something like a Forge mode. I don't think it's possible. Like even with my, limited dim knowledge of things, I don't think that's possible in the current system. A renewed focus on multiplayer. Again, I think a lot of people forget that multiplayer PvP is a free part of the game for the most part, other than like Trials where you have to own the latest expansion. So the reason it has not gotten that much attention compared to the ever increasing scope of PvE content is because it's not making money. And like even if a giant portion of the player base plays it, anywhere from a quarter to a third to 40% of the player base plays PvP, it has not really been looked at as a worthwhile investment for a very long time. And even when it is, they are refocusing. We're getting 3 new maps now, and this map pack is kind of like an emergency ripcord they're pulling. But I'm not saying it would be bad if he focused on PvP. I'm just like not getting my hopes up purely based on the fact that he did a lot of Halo multiplayer stuff, 15, 20 years ago, whatever it's been. So I don't know how much we can take from that. Yeah, it sucks Joe's leaving. Like I feel like I barely know anyone there now. I mean, a lot of the people I knew directly got fired. A lot of people have just kind of gone radio silent because they're like either scared of the community reaction or scared of saying something publicly that might come back and haunt them. Joe, as a public-facing director, is now leaving, and I'm guessing a guy with no social media presence isn't exactly going to be the most transparent. People who used to be the face of the game have disappeared from the face of the earth, like Luke Smith. And, Pete Parsons, who the buck kind of stops with him with all this, has not gone anywhere. So I don't think this has made anything better. I think I've already had pretty dire predictions for the next, period of Destiny here in terms of all the stuff I mentioned. And then losing your really great game director is not on the good list, certainly. So I don't know if there's much positivity to take away from this. The one thing is Tyson Green at on the surface level seems like he would be a good replacement, but we don't know what his plans are. We don't know what if he's changing direction in some meaningful way that's going to be good. We don't know that yet. So I do hope we hear from him soon with some concrete plans for where the series is going forward. But Bungie might not even know that. Like if Final Shape totally tanks and like it's just a disaster, maybe the episodes trickle out and hey, no more Destiny. Too bad. But that's ultimate worst case scenario. So yeah, those are kind of my generalized thoughts on this. Joe leaving is bad. The problematic leadership that has caused most of these problems is still there, and Tyson Green is a positive but kind of a question mark at the same time. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care.